What are your thoughts on the MEV translation? I made it to Jeremiah and gave up. The MEV is just got way too many issues, and it really is in dire need of an update, which it seems is not going to happen. It's really unfortunate because Stanley Horton was on the editorial team, really led the editorial team, and he was an Assembly of God theologian, so it would have been really nice to have that translation be successful. There's been talks of updates on the horizon for years, and I haven't seen that materialize, so I really don't know where that's going to go. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. If they were to update it, I would give it another chance, but I made it to Jeremiah, and I just couldn't take anymore. I just found it very difficult to read. There were spots where it was really good, and there were spots where it was really bad, and there were a lot of typos, and it's kind of a mess, the MEV, to be quite honest. And I know people really want it to succeed, but barring something, I don't see that happening. Aside from the MEV, have you ever given up on a translation? No, I've read them all the way through. There are some that I won't read again. For example, I'm not going to read the ASV again. I'm not going to read the LSB again. I'm probably not going to read the NASB 2020 again. But the HCSB, I love that one. I can read the CSB, I can read that over and over. The NLT, I can enjoy and read over and over. The ESV, I've read multiple times. Even the KJV, I really enjoy reading that. I read that every few years. Of course, the New King James, that's my, man, that's the clutch Bible for me. Absolutely love that one. Read it over and over. But the MEV is the only translation I've gotten to a certain point and just said, I can't do this. Just put it down. Even the ASV, I'm able to plow through it because it's actually a good read from a poetic linguistic standpoint. But the handling of the divine name, and there's some clumsy spots in it that make it one I'm probably not going to read again. Speaking about the LSB, do you think it would have any staying power if it's not picked up by a major publisher? I don't think that LSB is ever going to get out of the niche basement because I don't think the NASB, its daddy translation, is ever really going to make a big splash. So it struggles to stay in the top 10 already. Now they've divided their audience 3 ways. The handling of Yahweh is just awkward for a lot of people, or handling of the divine name. It really doesn't add a whole lot in my mind that the NASB 1995 doesn't already provide. Now, if the NASB 1995 was to go out of print, which I don't believe it's going to because we can still get copies of the 77, even though it's a little more difficult, I just don't see the LSB ever getting over the hump. Now, I don't see it going away because there's always going to be that niche audience. I would say it's going to last for a while. There may be a time where it loses popularity, maybe once John MacArthur passes away. But no, I don't ever see that one getting out of the basement. I don't ever see that one cracking. I don't ever see a major publisher picking it up. Although Thomas Nelson did do the LSB John MacArthur Study Bible, I don't think that's something that's going to continue. In fact, Steadfast is releasing their own version, a first printing edition, so I don't even know how that's going to play out in sales with Thomas Nelson and the LSB. But no, I don't see it ever breaking out. Why would I not read the LSB again? Just because I don't see the benefit to it. I don't enjoy the Yahweh thing. That's just kind of an annoyance to me. We don't know how that second syllable is said. Now, do I reference it? Absolutely. But to commit to read it again, there are so many other translations I'd like to read. I'm about to read the NJV. I'd like to read through the NKJV again. I'd like to read the KJV again. I'd love to read the HCSB again. So for that reason, that's why translations didn't really just mark me and really think that was an amazing experience. I'm not going to read through those again, even though there's benefit. If you love the LSV, then praise God. It's a great translation. It's just not one that I'm going to revisit. Could you talk about your favorite Bible reading plan or method? I can answer that right now. My favorite Bible reading plan is the Thomas Road 6-month plan on YouVersion. That's all you do is download a YouVersion, look up reading plans, Thomas Road 6-month. I'm a really straightforward kind of guy. I like reading from Genesis to Revelation. I don't like the chronological plan. I don't like the M. Cheyenne plan or whatever they call it, where you're bouncing all over the place. I don't like a little bit of old, a little bit of new. I just want to read the Bible, Genesis to Revelation, and Thomas Road really accomplishes that. The 1-year plan, it's a little too slow for me, and I find myself not being challenged. The 90-day plan is a little bit too much for me. I find myself being over-challenged and getting behind. But the 6-month Thomas Road Bible reading plan is top-notch. It's absolutely amazing. I love it. That's my favorite one. Can you talk about your personal devotional life for a minute? How do you advise rank and file laity? Well, here's the thing. I don't believe that rank and file laity are any different than clergy in their responsibility to devote their lives to God. My devotional life, I get up at about 5:20 every morning. And I go to my kitchen table and I sit at my kitchen table and I have my Bible that I'm reading open. I have some ambient music playing in the background, and I open my Bible and I read my Bible. I read it in 6 months. I read the entire Bible in 6 months. That's about 40 minutes of reading every morning. And then I have a list of people that I pray for. I pray for my family. I pray for my neighbors. I pray for the leaders in my church. And I pray for people that attend the congregation to the best of my ability and their children. My devotional time, if I give it full expression, is about 2 hours. So about 7:30, I'm done. I'll have breakfast, and then I'll head off to the office if I'm working that day and have my meetings and get ready for whatever that day entails. But yeah, that's my devotional life in a nutshell. Often I will use a devotional help. For example, the Jonathan Gibson series by Crossway. There's a couple by Holman that I've used, but generally I more free will it. I really prefer having that open format to where I can pray however I want. I like utilizing the Lord's Prayer and the armor of God. But I really don't like the line between rank and file laity and the clergy, because I believe that creates a separation that really was never designed to exist. The only difference between clergy and laity is their purpose and the amount of time they're going to spend devoted to sacred things. But even that, everything we do is sacred. Colossians 3:23 says, everything you do, do it for the glory of God. So I don't believe in separating secular versus sacred. I believe everyone has a divine assignment, but mine, being a full-time minister, is obviously going to be devoted to the property of the church, and it's going to look a little different. But my devotional life, really, I don't think it should look any different than anyone else's. Now, 2 hours, that's not for everybody. Some people are only going to be able to do a half hour or whatever. That's just kind of where I've landed, because probably the scope of my responsibility.